Grug, wake up. Sun barely up. Stomach empty. Grug sees saber-toothed tiger. Tiger not wake up yet. Grug, run. Tiger, wake up. Grug, run faster. You are Grug. You just escaped becoming breakfast again. Now you're safe for a minute. You have a full belly after a successful hunt. The fire is warm. The day is done. The whole cave smells like smoke and you. But something is missing. Something to make this endless cycle of survival feel less endless. Something to make the long dark hours less scary. Something to distract Grug from the fact that Grug's cavemate, Grug, keeps snoring like a dying mammoth. And that, my friends, is why Grug invented music. Or, discovered it. Grug not really an inventor. Grug more of a reactor. So, how did the first music happen? Was it some genius caveman, alone in a moment of existential dread, humming a surprisingly catchy tune? Not quite. Grug didn't have time for existential dread. Grug had time for hunting, gathering, and running from things that wanted to eat Grug. Existential dread was a luxury for later humans with, pottery and stable food sources. The real answer? It probably started with something Grug did every single day. Something that kept Grug alive. Rhythm. Imagine this, you're part of a small group. You're hunting a woolly rhino. Not a fun job, by the way. Rhinos are cranky. You need to coordinate. You need to communicate without making too much noise and alerting every other hungry beast in a 10-mile radius. So, what do? You start making rhythmic sounds. Maybe a clap. Maybe a stomp. Maybe hitting a big rock with a smaller rock. 1, 2, 3. Charge. This wasn't a jam session. This was survival. But Grug quickly realized something. This rhythmic hitting of rocks felt good. It helped Grug focus. It helped Grug feel connected to the other Grg, that's the plural of Grug, by the way. And sometimes, when Grug was really lucky and the rhino didn't gore anyone, it felt like a celebration. Here's the crazy part, Grug didn't even have instruments. Not like you think of them. Grug's first instruments were Grug's own body. Clapping hands. Stomping feet. Even slapping Grug's own chest. Grug once tried to make a beat by slapping Oog, but Oog hit Grug back. Grug learn. Oog not a drum. So, beat number 1, rhythmic clapping and stomping. The original mosh pit. But less aggressive, unless a bear wandered in. Then it got very aggressive. But it wasn't just about hunting. Grug's life was full of repetition. Grinding nuts and seeds with stones. Chopping wood. Flaking stone tools. These repetitive actions created their own rhythms. Think about it. You're trying to get that perfect edge on your flint tool. Asterisk tap tap scrape. Tap tap scrape, asterisk you're concentrating. You're in a flow state. And suddenly, it sounds like something. Grug spent hours doing this. And Grug realized that if Grug made the sound on purpose, it could make the time go faster. It could even make the tedious work feel less tedious. Grug wasn't trying to make a hit single. Grug was trying to not die of boredom. Because boredom, for Grug, was almost as bad as saber-toothed tigers. Almost. Beat number 2, work songs. The world's first productivity hack. No, Grug did not invent the modern office soundtrack. Grug mostly just grunted. But Grug's grunts had rhythm. And then there was chanting. Not like you think of it. No Gregorian chants here. More like, ugh. 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 Mammoth. Ugh. 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 Eat. Grug had limited vocabulary. But Grug could repeat words. And Grug could do it with a rhythm. Especially around the fire. Imagine this, darkness all around. Fire crackling. Shadows dancing. Sounds of the wild just outside the light. Grug and the other Grg huddled together. Fear is a constant companion. What do? You make noise together. You chant. It makes you feel stronger. It makes you feel less alone. It makes the scary sounds outside seem further away. This was the original group therapy session. No couches, just rocks. No therapists, just Grug. And Grug's advice was usually, stop whining, Grug. Go get more berries. Beat number 3, chanting for comfort and unity. The world's first sing-along. But mostly just grunts and single words. And very off-key. Grug could not carry a tune. Grug carried rocks. But here's where it gets really interesting, and a little bit wild. The first real instruments might have come from very unexpected places. Like, from the bones of animals Grug ate. Remember that woolly rhino Grug just hunted? After the feasting, there were bones. Big, hollow bones. And if you blew into one of those bones, just right, it made a sound. A weird, whistling, hollow sound. Not exactly a flute solo from a classical orchestra. More like a spooky wind noise. But for Grug, it was magic. Grug, of course, probably didn't realize it was magic. Grug just realized it made a noise. And noise was sometimes good. Especially when Grug was trying to scare off a rival tribe, or just make a really loud statement that Grug was in charge of this particular pile of mammoth bones. Beat number 4, bone flutes and rattles. The original sound effects. Grug probably used them to scare Oog in the middle of the night. Oog's still mad about that. And it gets even weirder. What about drums? Grug didn't have a drum kit. Grug had, well, pretty much anything Grug could hit. Logs. Rocks. The ground. The skull of a particularly annoying badger. But the most effective drums were probably stretched animal skins. You killed a deer. You ate the deer. You used the skin for clothing or shelter. And if you stretched that skin over a hollow log or a large bone, and then you hit it? Bam! Instant percussion. Not a perfectly tuned snare drum. More like a thwack. A thud. But a rhythmic thud. This was the original garage band. Except the garage was a cave, and the instruments were made from dinner leftovers. And they mostly just played one note. Over and over. Grug still thought it was impressive. Beat number 5, animal skin drums. The first drum circle. But probably smelled much worse than modern drum circles. And involved more blood. Now, why did Grug keep doing this? Why didn't Grug just stop at the basic survival rhythm? Because Grug was, believe it or not, a creature of emotion. Grug felt joy. Grug felt sorrow. Grug felt fear. And Grug needed a way to express it. When Grug was happy after a successful hunt, Grug might have clapped faster, stomped harder, chanted louder. When Grug was sad because a loved one was gone, Grug might have made slow, mournful sounds. This wasn't just functional. It was expressive. It was Grug pouring out Grug's soul without using a single word like existential dread. This was the original I'm Feeling Things playlist. No Spotify. Just Grug, grunting. Beat number 6, emotional expression. The first time Grug cried to a beat. Probably to the beat of Oog's snoring. And then there were rituals. Grug didn't understand religion. Grug understood, don't make the sky angry, it throws rocks at Grug. Grug understood, maybe if Grug does this dance, the mammoths will come closer. Grug understood, if Grug doesn't do this dance, the mammoths run away, and Grug goes hungry. So, Grug started incorporating these rhythmic sounds, chants, and rudimentary instruments into rituals. To appeal to the spirits. To bring good luck. To ward off evil. To make the rain come. Or stop. Whatever Grug needed at the moment. This was the original marketing campaign for Grug's good luck rituals. Results not guaranteed. Side effects may include wolf attacks. Beat number 7, rituals and spirituality. The world's first spiritual rave. With way less glitter. And way more mud. So, the next time you're tapping your foot to a catchy tune, remember Grug. Grug started it all. Not with fancy instruments or complex melodies, but with the basic rhythms of survival. The need to communicate. The desire for connection. The urge to express. And the desperate hope that maybe, just maybe, making a noise would keep the saber-toothed tiger from eating Grug. Grug tried to learn to play the guitar once. Grug broke all the strings. Grug still prefers hitting rocks. Subscribe to Grug Explains for more truly unbelievable true facts about how Grug lived. And for tips on how to escape saber-toothed tigers. Grug has many tips. Mostly about running. And it gets even crazier when you think about how early humans started playing with pitch. Grug wasn't trying to hit a high note for a reality TV singing competition. Grug was trying to make different sounds. And how do you make different sounds without complex instruments? You change the size of the thing you're hitting or blowing. Imagine Grug has a collection of bones. Some are small bird bones, some are big rhino leg bones. If you blow into the small one, it makes a high whistle. Blow into the big one, a low moan. Grug, in Grug's infinite caveman wisdom, probably stumbled upon this by accident. Maybe Grug was trying to clean a bone and blew through it. Pfft, a sound. Grug blow through another. Whoosh, a different sound. This wasn't music theory. This was just, bigger bone, lower sound. Smaller bone, higher sound. Grug understand. This basic understanding of varying pitches was a huge step. It meant Grug could start making patterns with different sounds, not just different rhythms. This was the original sound palette. No synthesizers, just a pile of bones. Beat number 8, experimenting with pitch. The first time Grug realized not all noises sound the same. Grug still thought Oog's snoring was one consistent, terrible note. But Grug also found other ways to make different sounds. What about the human voice? Grug grunted. Grug chanted. But Grug could also make other noises. Grug could hum. Grug could shriek. Grug could whistle, though Grug's whistling was mostly to call other GRG during a hunt, not to express joy. Grug's happy noises were usually a guttural roar when Grug finally took down a particularly stubborn boar. The voice, in its earliest form, was probably not about singing as we know it. It was about imitating. Imitating animal calls to lure prey. Imitating the sounds of the wind or water. These imitations, repeated and stylized, eventually started to sound like melodies. A bird's chirp, a wolf's howl, the rustle of leaves, Grug would mimic these, not for fun, but for survival or communication. And then, one day, Grug realized the imitation itself held a certain rhythm and pattern. This was the original sound design studio. Grug was the Foley artist, using nothing but Grug's own mouth. And Grug's Foley work mostly involved sounds of impending doom or successful foraging. Beat number 9, vocal imitation. The first cover band, except Grug was covering a dying antelope. And it was very convincing. And let's not forget the sheer joy of movement. Dance. Music and dance have always been inseparable. When Grug started clapping and stomping, Grug was also probably moving. A little jig after a successful hunt. A slow, swaying motion during a ritual. These movements, synchronized with the rhythmic sounds, created a powerful sensory experience. Grug didn't have TikTok. Grug didn't have a dance battle. Grug had, move your feet, Grug, or the mammoth will trample you. But when the danger was past, and the fire was bright, those same movements could become something else. A way to burn off energy. A way to connect with the group. A way to just feel alive. This was the original dance party. No club, just a fire. No glow sticks, just a flint tool. And the dress code was strictly fur. Beat number 10, dance and movement. The original body language that wasn't about threatening glances from a rival tribe. But here's the most mind-bending part, the thing that makes you go, no way, that's real. Some archaeologists believe that the very first instruments might have been arrows. Think about it. You pull back a bowstring, and it makes a twanging sound. Thwang, this sound, while initially just a byproduct of launching a projectile, could have been manipulated. Different tensions, different string materials, could create different sounds. Imagine Grug, sitting by the fire, maybe bored, plucking a bowstring. Asterisk twang. Twang twang. Thwang asterisk. This wasn't Grug tuning a harp. This was Grug realizing that the thing Grug used to kill dinner could also make an interesting noise. It's like discovering your smartphone can also be used as a musical instrument if you, say, drop it repeatedly. Grug, in Grug's own way, was being an innovator. An accidental, oops, that sounds cool, innovator. This was the original string section. A one-stringed orchestra, where the instrument also served as a weapon of mass extinction for local herbivores. Beat number 11, bows as musical instruments. The original Guitar Hero, except Grug's shredding, was usually followed by a meaty thud. And the reason this all stuck? The reason it evolved? Because music, even in its most primitive form, was incredibly powerful for group cohesion. When everyone is clapping, stomping, chanting, moving together, it creates a sense of unity. It binds the group. It reduces individual fear and amplifies collective strength. In a world where Grug could die at any moment from a hungry predator, a broken leg, or a particularly aggressive patch of poison ivy, feeling connected to the other GRG was paramount. Music was the original team-building exercise. No trust falls, just shared rhythmic grunting. And the trust was in knowing the person next to you wasn't going to accidentally bash your head in with their rhythm stick. This was the original social glue. Stronger than any saber-toothed tiger's grip. Well, almost. Beat number 12, group cohesion and social bonding. The original "We're all in this together" anthem, which usually ended with a group nap. And this collective effort wasn't just about survival. It was about creating shared memories. The sound of the specific chant for a successful hunt, the rhythm of a ritual dance, the unique tune played on a bone flute, these became part of the group's identity. It was their history. Their stories. Passed down not just in words, but in sounds and movements. When Grug heard a certain rhythm, Grug remembered that time the group cornered the giant cave bear. When Grug heard a specific chant, Grug remembered the big winter storm they all survived together. Music became the original oral tradition, but with a beat. No written records, just muscle memory and earworms. Grug still has the cave bear fight tune stuck in Grug's head sometimes. It's a banger. This was the original archive. More durable than a clay tablet, especially if the tablet got broken by a clumsy Grug. Beat number 13, collective memory and storytelling. The original greatest hits album, starring Grug's epic adventures. So, next time you put on your headphones, or go to a concert, or even just tap your fingers on the table, remember Grug. Grug didn't have Beethoven. Grug had bones. Grug didn't have a drum machine. Grug had deer skin. Grug didn't have autotune. Grug just had a very loud grunt. But from those raw, primal beginnings, came everything you hear today. The beat of a heart. The rhythm of life. The sound of connection. And the universal language that even a deadpan caveman could understand. Grug still gets mad when the neighbors play their music too loud. Especially that oog. Grug prefers the subtle sound of rain on a rock. Subscribe to Grug Explains for more truly unbelievable true facts about how Grug lived. And for tips on how to politely ask Oog to turn down his bone flute. Grug has many tips. Mostly about hitting things with a club. But Grug try to be civil. Mostly.